We're all packed up, ready to go. We're taking it more leisurely in the mornings. It's 9:22. We don't have that far to go. We actually went 6 miles farther yesterday than we were planning on it, so we have 6 miles less to do between today and tomorrow. So we have time, and we want to stop and see Fort Frederick today on our way. It's a 1750s fort, and that should be really interesting. So the little bit less miles today gives us maybe a little more time to do that, but also we just don't have as long a days on this end of it as we did to begin with. So we're not too worried about starting off at 9:30 or whatever. This is an example of an aqueduct on the canal. So we are in the channel for the boats right here, but it's an aqueduct because it actually carries the water over a natural creek. So it's kind of a bridge for the boats over the natural creek here, which you can see down below. I think I saw a sign that said there were like 11 aqueducts total on the trail or on the canal. We're turning off the trail here because we're coming up here to Fort Frederick. Fort Frederick is a stone fort. I guess it was built in around 1756. So during the time of the French and Indian War, Fort Frederick was built in 1756 and 57 by the colony of Maryland, primarily as a place of refuge for area settlers from raids by the French and their Indian allies. Later, in the Revolutionary War, the fort was used to house British prisoners of war. After the war, the fort was sold off and eventually purchased by a freed slave, Nathan Williams, whose family farmed the area from 1860 until the early 20th century. During the Civil War, the Union Army occupied the site for a short time to protect the C&O Canal and the railroad from Confederate attack. By 1862, the fort's military usefulness was at an end.
What I'm doing here is I'm going to demonstrate how this weapon works. It's a flintlock weapon. It is a weapon that relies on a stone right here, like kind of like a sharp, hard stone, to slam forward and strike this hardened piece of steel, which will create a shower of sparks. Shower of sparks will land on top of this pan that, once the stone hits it, it'll open it, but the sparks will land on the pan, which will have powder in it. There'll be an ignition right here, right next to the gun, and the flames will travel through a small hole in the side of my barrel here that you might be able to see. And when the flame goes through that small hole, any powder, if a musket ball, anything would down the barrel, it would ignite, and it would discharge the weapon at sort of lethal velocity. So I'm going to go through the loading and firing process, and I'm going to do it in two ways. I'm going to show you how it would work nice and slow. I'll kind of talk through the steps, and then I'll show you that a trained military person, whether they're dressed like militia like myself, so the compulsory soldier by law, or the volunteer soldier, such as the professional, the provincial soldier, or the regular army soldier, all three of these classes of soldiers are all going to be trained, disciplined to be able to more or less fire 3 to 4 times a minute, once every 15 to 20 seconds. From this position, prime and load! Make ready. Present. Fire. And immediately half cock the weapon, and you'll see I'm right back into this position. So a trained line infantry soldier will be trained to do that effectively or efficiently at a rate of every 15 to 20 seconds, 3 to 4 rounds a minute. And the whole purpose is to have a row or a mass of men doing that efficiently together, firing these massive walls of lead across the field and punch huge holes in the lines across from you. These weapons are smooth bore, which means the inside of the barrel is as smooth as it is on the outside, so these weapons are not very accurate at ranges greater than 80 to 100 yards for militarily trained men. We're not training these men to pick out individual targets. We're training them to be part of that wall of death. So if you ever watch TV and kind of wondered why these armies of the past get close to each other, the technology dictates it, and the tactics say we're not trying to pick out the individual guys. Since we know we have to be close, it's like bowling. We just want to knock down huge sections of their lines, basically to exploit for cavalry to ride and stuff like that.
So we're inside the building that's set up the way it would have been in 1756. And this is the captain's quarters. So he had the nicest quarters. For the most part, it was Captain Alexander Beall, B-E-A-L-L. And because he was the captain, he actually got 2 rooms. So his sleeping quarters with a fire, as well as, I love these beams, as well as his sitting area with another fireplace. This is the junior officer's quarters. His looks pretty nice too. 2 fireplaces in here.
Big room.
This fort was first built in 1756. It was as a fort to keep the French out. But then after the French and Indian War, it kind of wasn't serving a purpose until the Revolutionary War. And then it was a place to put prisoners, British prisoners. So they have this set up kind of like where they'd be squeezing in prisoners. And I think it would be even tighter than this, because they said that they had 5,000 prisoners here at one time, and this fort was built for 200 people, so 200 soldiers. But during the Revolutionary War, they had as many as 5,000 British prisoners here, and it was a place of death and misery, it sounds like. Kind of looks like the commissary. Let's see what it says over here. King's Storehouse. Oh, here's more of the storehouse. Barrels of flour, salt, fork, rum, more flour. They would store in here things that they could trade with the Cherokee Indians to get them on their side. They would trade things such as kettles, match coats, shirts, leggings, ribbons, wampum, vermilion, brochettes, bed lace, looking glasses, some calico for your women, and some silver armbands for those that are the greatest warriors. So this was to befriend the Indians and get them on their side. This is the enlisted men's quarters. It looks like they have 8 to a room here, 2 tables, 2 fireplaces. So those are not bunks for 4 men. Each set of 4 bunks had to sleep 8 men. So you'd sleep 16 men in here, and that would be 1 squad, while the other squad is out working. And then this squad who just rested would go out and work, and the tired ones would come in and sleep. So they had to share beds. So 2 to a bed, and really shared with 2 more. Wow. There were 4 women in the 1756 era of this fort. And so this would be women's quarters. There were 4 women who would do the cooking and the washing. So this is supposed to be their rooms. Here they're doing the laundry, ironing. This is very interesting. So, laundry could take up to 3 days to complete 1 load. Process began with getting wood and water, mending the dirty clothes first, I think I'd rather mend them when they're clean. After items were sorted and the process of stain removal began, which could be done in many ways, the clothes were then put in water to soak overnight, boiled, washed, scrubbed, and rinsed. Clothes were typically rinsed 3 times, which included wringing out the garments by hand. At this point, white clothing was blued, an early form of bleaching, and then all of the laundry was starched, air-dried, ironed, and folded. And look at this makeshift iron board. Clever. This is the armory. Look at the size of that big pot.
These buildings were built in 1976 for the country's bicentennial. There were no buildings left original buildings. The fort was actually owned by a freed slave who used it in his farming operations and became quite prosperous. He knocked down part of the wall over there in that corner, I guess, that bastion, and built a barn into the wall of the fort, which has been removed, and they've rebuilt the bastion. But he lived here for several decades. His family, I think, lived here until 1911. And then the state acquired it, I guess, and they started to turn it back into the fort that they think it was. All of these buildings are conjectures, I guess, as to what would have been here as far as they know.
This fort is huge. Usually in the 1750s when a fort was built, it was wood and it was much smaller, and the barracks were just, little huts. And this is just, wow. Like the Taj Mahal of forts in that day. But I also find it very interesting. There are 4 corners that are kind of cut out like this. And it would have been built up with dirt or in some cases wood platforms that would lift their cannons up and let them get over the walls, up there to be able to fire. You see the spikes up above the gate, and there looks like there would be more walls or gates put in there. And the reason for those corners to be built out was right there. Anybody trying to get to the front gate could be shot at from there and shot out from there. And so they were basically, in a, I forget what he called it, but like a tunnel, or there was no way they could escape, because not only would they be shot from the front, they'd be shot from the sides. We just left Fort Frederick. That was very interesting. Enjoyed that. And we are now back in the tunnel. It's been a lot of tunnel, but it's warm enough out here that we are actually welcoming this green tunnel. We start riding through it, moving the air, and it really cools you off. But in the sun, it is hot. I think it's supposed to get to 90 in the area today. It was pretty hot yesterday as well. Normally I don't like green tunnels, but I'm welcoming this one today. So one of the things we're enjoying about this trail is all the history that we're just riding through. And so along the trail, here's the sign, McCoy's Ferry. On May 23rd, 1861, Confederates attempting to capture the ferry boat at McCoy's Landing were driven off by the Clear Spring Guard. Here on October 10th, 1862, General J.E.B. Stuart crossed the Potomac on his second ride around McClellan's army. So, there's French and Indian War history and Revolutionary War history, Civil War history. It's just a fascinating area. Really enjoying the history. Lock 50, and we just noticed how deep it is. It's a pretty deep lock. Wonder if that's the lock house over there. The bigger house further back. Looks like it might be an old lock house that they're fixing up back there. But Yeah, this one's really deep. And then you've got lot 49 not very far from it over here. So this area, they needed to do some climbing.
Apparently there are stairs up here that we have to climb, carry the bikes up. There was a detour around them that involved a steep ride up a gravel road. So pick your poison, I guess. We've decided we're going to do the stairs. Have to unload the bikes to a certain extent. We hope we don't have to unload them too much. Oh, I've seen this part on videos. We would have missed this part. So don't ride off the edge. We figure we're here to take the trail. Look at that. Right off the edge, directly into the Potomac River. These stairs don't look so bad. We got a ramp here. If we both push at the bike, I think we can push them up without having to unload the...
Okay, this one.
Continuing the detour here, we've got our bikes loaded back up again. And I guess we have to go up and around the lock keeper's house here. This is what they're detouring us around. Looks like they're rebuilding the path over this lock house, I guess is what it was. So when it's done, it'll be a brand new path over that, it looks like. And look at that cool old building on the other side. Got this dam in the river here to kind of make a pool of in the water, pool up the water, probably to fill the lock in.
I think we're getting close to Williamsport.
It's interesting how differently parts of the canal have developed, or whatever the right word is. We go through some parts, they're completely dry, they're completely overgrown. You can't even really tell there was a canal there, or maybe there's a dip, but no water. trees growing in it. And then you come to other parts like this, they're still full of water. They look like they could still have boats going through them. This is an aqueduct that still has water in it, could still function. We have here a working aqueduct, complete with water. You could still drive your boat through it. And it goes over the creek. This is another area where I wondered, okay, how do the boats get turned around? Or, you know, one past another, or stop for repairs, and then there are little harbors or wide spots. Big pool back up by, where was that? That was up, oh, by the Fort Frederick. And little pool up by the town we were at last night. Those are all examples of places that they used for pulling the boats out of the canal, and out of the line of traffic anyway. This looks like a working lock, you know, ready for a boat to come in. Water level's low. It's ready for a boat to come in from down below. Those gates are open. Lock 44.